because you're always talking about building the future, right? You're talking about building the future. And there you are right now in Abu Dhabi, in the fight capital of the world. You know, you've got almost 500 competitors, essentially from every continent of the world, age 12 to 17. What does this mean for you personally and professionally, you know, witnessing all this happen?
I mean, personally, for me, you know, it's a goal. It's a vision that obviously my own background coming from judo over extensive years of being, you know, competing on an amateur level and being able to, you know, have medals in Worlds, European and Olympics. That dream of, you know, kind of being able to emulate my own pathway, starting from the age of 12 and obviously competing at the highest level. So I come to the sport of mixed martial arts and being able to, you know, use that as my own experience and then being able to give back to the next generation. You know, for me, that's a personal goal and being able to see, you know, that we can change people's lives within that development of building the sport, which, you know, as we all know, it started, you know, upside down. You know, the sport has started from the professional aspect and, you know, we as IMMAF and, you know, quite rightly so, has been supported by the UFC, you know, and they've done an extensive, phenomenal job in supporting, and they get it understood that there needed to be a base in terms of establishing the sport from the ground, not from the top. You know, and it's very difficult when you're kind of doing reverse engineer or drilling down from the top to the bottom. The horse has bolted. You're now trying to pull everybody in to get that recognition and regulation to obviously improve the sport at every level. We've managed to do that, and you know, coming down and drilling down to the base and being able to have the vision that, you know, potentially one day, you know, we want the sport to be an Olympic sport. And that's our focus, is to, you know, get the sport recognized, you know, 7 years in our application in order to try and get the sport. As you know, the sport is still not recognized by this umbrella organization or through the IOC. And we've been driving, you know, to do that, you know, 6 years of fighting with WADA to promote clean sport, clean MMA. And we were successful at the end of 2021 that we became the only amateur international body to be WADA accredited to, and that's another milestone within the international federation. So in terms of drilling down, being able at the base and now having this platform of being able to promote youth MMA, I think that it's gone under the radar, and a lot of people haven't realized how significant the work that we've done over the last 10 years in order to build the platform for the next generation. That is going to change the perception of the sport, that we all know where it came from at the beginning and the struggles that everybody has had. This is truly a global sport, and a sport that should be amongst the combat sports. You know, we've always had pushbacks from certain combat core sports that are against it because they see the professional side of the sport. But really, everybody's forgot about the amateur base, changing that, you know, perception and changing the old method of only 3 fights, 4 fights and you go pro, or 6 fights you go pro. Now, you know, in the amateur side, we want them to have a longer development in the process from, as you know, coming from 12 all the way through. You can make the switch once you know, 2 times senior world medal, and then you can go off to going from amateur to pro. But some of those kids would have had over 50, 60, 70 matches along their journey, which is, you know, 10 times better than having 6 matches and then going pro. So I think when you look at what we've done and what we've, you know, add in terms of the development, you know, my personal goal is for the team, and the support that I've given, you know, been given by the team is an amazing, you know, prospect that we've got an amazing team that's, you know, gone from the start and are going through the whole journey along with our visions in order to, you know, make this sport truly a global and a phenomenal sport that everybody can be proud of because of the work that we've been consistently doing in the international combat sports that has no headshots under the age of 18. Now, that's quite significant. Now we're talking about protecting young athletes in terms of brain damage. You know what I mean? And, you know, there have been other variations of using head guards and, you know, other weird and wonderful things to accommodate under the age of 18. We truly believe that under the 18, there should be no headshots. You know, at 18, you're legal. You have the choice to make, if you choose to move forward, to take head blows. But I think, you know, what we've done is prolong and been able to give them a longevity within the sport and to protect them ultimately as they make that transition. So we were very proud of the work that we've done in order to commit to that, and being the only international sport to make that decision. And believe me, it's a strong message that we're sending out, that we're protecting these athletes, because we want to ensure that their safety. And as an ex-athlete, we truly want to make sure that they've got every support going through this fantastic journey. So my own personal goal is for the team, and we've got a phenomenal job to do. And as I always say to people, we've only done a short length of time, only 7 years in terms of development, really. When you look at all the other core sports with over 100 years, 50, 60 years of development, we're catching up in terms of the rule sets and changing the game and the perception of the sport. And really, rightfully true, we've got to protect the next generation, which is youth. And we've got to ensure that they understand about respect, fair play. All of that has been built, when you see these kids that are competing over the last 4 days. We had one match which was phenomenal, which was between USA and UAE. So UAE, are the hosting federation that have just, put a team together late. There was a finals between the UAE and the Americans. And the Americans have come over here with a strong team in terms of their development. And it was a phenomenal match. And for the UAE have won a gold medal from youth. And, that kid came from jiu-jitsu, making the transition. But what a phenomenal start for the host federation and for those kids that are now going to kind of push on along the pathway that we've provided under the IMMAF, development program.